Welcome back, class. Mr. Rasmussen here. This is lesson 11A. And in 11A, we're going to be talking about excretion and homeostasis. So this is the beginning of our excretory system, and we're going to talk about how it relates to homeostasis today. That's what I want to start off talking about, is how the excretory system is involved in homeostasis. So our body being a living thing, we have to keep our inside environment the same all the time, and that's homeostasis, and the excretory system plays a really important role in that. First thing it's going to do is eliminate waste. Our cells are constantly making waste. We are constantly doing cellular respiration and generating waste, so we need to eliminate that waste, and the excretory system helps us get rid of a lot of that waste. Also, and the one we don't think about very often, is this idea of maintaining water. Our cells and our body has to keep a constant water balance. We have to make sure we always have the same amount of water at all times, and that our cells, our fluid outside of our cells, don't get more water, because then the water rushes in and bursts our cells. So our excretory system has this really important function of making sure our body stays at this homeostatic level with water. That's going to be really important. There are lots of organs involved in excretion, not just the kidneys and the tubes they're in. There's the skin, which you may not think about, but a lot of our waste is actually excreted out of our skin. We can actually lose some nitrogen waste outside of our skin. The one that everybody thinks about is the lungs. That's an easy one. We exhale the carbon dioxide, which is that cellular respiration waste. The liver, another organ people might think about as far as getting rid of waste in our bodies, and it has that function in filtering stuff, filtering harmful substances. And then the kidney. This is the one we're going to spend the most amount of time on talking about tomorrow, but the kidney has this huge function in the excretory system. And then the last one is the large intestine. The large intestine helps get rid of that solid waste. So there's not just one organ involved. It's a huge system that includes lots of different organs from lots of different systems helping getting rid of waste. So very involved. Our body is getting rid of waste is really important to our body, and we do it in a whole bunch of different ways. Now, the movement of waste, I just kind of want to point this out because waste always move in the same direction. And here's how it's always going to go. I have this little chart here. And first off, the waste starts off in our cells here. And from the cells, the waste goes out into the fluid surrounding the cells. So the tissue fluid out of the cells. So the cells excrete it into that tissue fluid. And then from there, the waste is picked up by blood. And a lot of times it's just picked up by diffusion. There's more waste in the tissue fluid and less waste in the blood. So it just diffuses into the blood. And when it's in the blood, we're going to get rid of that waste a whole bunch of different ways. For instance, one could be the lungs here. We could exhale the carbon dioxide. One could be the kidneys, which filter it. It could get excreted by the skin, or it also could get filtered out by the liver. So after the blood, it goes to the appropriate organ to filter out, and from there it goes into our external environment. So it starts in the cells and eventually works its way through our body to these major organs and then out to the external environment and out of our body. So that's how wastes are going to move through our body. There are a couple different types of nitrogenous waste, and this is the last thing I want to touch on today. Make sure you have an idea of these three types of nitrogen waste. Humans, we only have to worry about, we only really have one, but in different animals there are different nitrogenous waste. A big one is ammonia. So some organisms excrete ammonia outside of their body, but the problem with ammonia is it's extremely toxic. It's very, very dangerous to living things, and so it needs to get away from the body very quickly, and it can't stay in the body very long. So it needs lots of water. And so it works really well if you're an aquatic organism. So fish will excrete ammonia because they can just swim away from it and get rid of it immediately, and they don't have to worry about it. Whereas us, something like that would be extremely harmful in our bodies and staying there for that period of time. The next one is urea, and this is the one that most mammals excrete. We excrete our nitrogen waste in the form of urea. It's less toxic. And the bonus of this is the fact that we can secrete it in really high concentrations. So we don't have to get rid of it right away. We can sort of wait until we have more of it, so we don't have to go to the bathroom all the time, which is good. The other thing is we don't have to put a lot of water with it. It doesn't have to be diluted very much, so that way we can conserve water. So we don't have to excrete a whole bunch of water if we have urea. Or if we had ammonia, we'd have to secrete a lot of water with it. But here, since we don't live in the ocean or live in an aquatic environment, we can help maintain water by doing that, by turning our nitrogen waste into urea. The last one, oh, and this is mammals. Mammals primarily do this. And the last one is uric acid, and this is extreme water conservation. So organisms that secrete uric acid, excuse me, they don't have to use very much water in their urine at all, so they have extreme water conservation, and insects secrete this sort of nitrogen waste. So it's not just the same. For us it's urea, but for other organisms it's ammonia or uric acid. And actually uric acid has some problems for humans as well. It can build up in our feet and cause what's called gout. So that's a problem of uric acid. We actually can create it. So that's the introduction to the excretory system. If you have any questions, class, please feel free to ask me immediately, and we'll see you in class.